Hey everyone. Okay, so right out of the gate with this chapter, if nothing else, the one thing I really liked about it and took away from it is how Horikoshi did give genuine moments to characters I haven't really been a fan of for one reason or another. And in saying that, we got to talk about Mineta. And yeah, you'll know how I felt about Mineta throughout this entire series. But credit where it's due, Horikoshi, in my opinion, really did kind of nail the moment with Mineta here. Like seeing Mineta battered, bruised, tattered, but still standing up all for one, saying, "Dark Shadow's a bad mix for you. It's a bad quirk. You'll turn into an edgelord. Take my quirk instead. Just don't take Tokuyami's." Like, just all those little things he was doing to beg and plead to All For One, saying, please don't take his quirk. Like, again, when you get down to it, it's probably a small, insignificant plea in the grand scheme, but it does show that however weak or afraid Mineta has been throughout the entire series, however much of a coward we want to see him as, given the right moment, he will stand his ground and he will try to do whatever he can to protect his friends. Death Arms. Now, another case of this is also Death Arms, and Death Arms is also a very interesting case for me because the guy was barely even a blip on my radar, to the point where even when he retired, I was like, okay, bye, dude. But in this chapter, seeing him rush to save someone from falling debris in a way that not only that reflects the first chapter, it is a very genuine moment as well as a very revealing one that I think shows very few, if none of these pro heroes have really ever had a real hero moment like Izuku did. So seeing Death Arms get that moment, it does feel much more rewarding, even if I personally never even cared for him as a character. Like, it's one of those things where it's just good to see that Hero Society is finally starting to move forward and actually becoming heroes rather than just seeing heroism as a job and whatnot. With that said, though, obviously the much bigger moment within the chapter that we got to talk about is that we see an all too familiar scene play out in Camino Ward. Stain and Iida pretty much squared up to meet again, and yeah, obviously this is the encounter we've all been looking forward to. After so much of seeing Iida's development throughout the series, especially after the initial fight with Stain, this whole setup in itself at the end of the chapter, it begs the question, what's going to be Stain's approach here? And even more so, what is going to be Iida's response? Because before it was just outright hatred towards one another, but with Iida's growth throughout the series and just him coming into his own hero, becoming his own person, his own hero, I imagine Iida is gonna opt for just having a genuine conversation with Stain and just wanting to just have a talk between the two of them. Like, probably in regards to that, Iida is along, and within that conversation, I think Iida is gonna say that he forgives Stain for what he did, that he's thankful to Stain for the painful lesson he needed to be taught, because it helped him grow. It helped him grow into who he is now. And even if Iida still has any leftover resentment towards Stain, ultimately a lot of that is taking the place of just being thankful for Stain for teaching him what it means to be a hero in that moment. Like, he was not. At the moment they first met, he obviously was not acting like a hero, and he thanks Stain for at least teaching him that much. And whereas, but of course, on Stain's side of things, that's where I think things are going to be even more interesting, because I think with Stain, because of the animosity held between both him and Iida, I think Stain is definitely going to be a little more apprehensive at first, but I think ultimately Stain will be forced to reckon with Iida's change and accept that, at least in this case, Stain was wrong. That people can change from who they were before. That people aren't just black and white, or just that there are times where just people are misguided and they need someone to. They need a moment in their lives in order to show them that they pretty much are on the wrong path. And it was thanks to Stain. I think Stain will realize his encounter with Iida, the way he fought with Iida. It made Iida realize. He made Iida realize that. So I think that's how this is probably going to go. The only. And it'll for Stain, it'll show that he was wrong in that moment. At least for me, that's how I see a lot of this playing out. But the question is how Horikoshi plans to execute upon that idea with so much chaos already going on. That's gonna be how is he gonna fit this into the equation now? And we also get so it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. On top of all that, we also get a fairly interesting reveal, I guess, about how All for One contains quirks within himself, and how he utilizes those quirks, which is that there is a big enough gap in transition between quirks that leaves him vulnerable. The only problem right now is taking advantage of that window before All for One has a chance to counter. Because of course ultimately Hawks had to be put in the worst possible situation in order to figure that out, which again at this point you all know my thoughts on the back and forth Horikoshi's been on with Hawks, other than say just pick a side, man. Although I will say, outside of my frustration with what Horikoshi's been doing with Hawks, I will also say it is very nice. I liked how we do get a very nice perspective from Hawks in how in his actions in this chapter, in showing how protective he is of Tokoyami. Because just seeing these, like we've often been told by Tokoyami and Hawks' accounts that how they both see each other as brothers. And it's one thing to say those things, it's another to show it. And I feel that with Hawks' actions in this chapter, with how he protects Tokoyami, it is one of those things where it's like it is nice to see like genuine that Hawks does genuinely care for Tokoyami, and that for whatever lies and schemes he had used, what lies and schemes he had told, whatever lies he had told, or whatever schemes he had done for the sake of serving the governments, the one constant truth throughout it all is that he does genuinely care for Tokoyami. And I think that is an important thing, that it shows that he does genuinely care for Tokoyami in that regard. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much all I got for this review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, Analyst, Crunchyroll. Be sure to notification bell, subscribe button, and share the video around, guys. Dark Knight of Anime, signing off. Later, everyone.